Heracles has survived the labors, descended into Hades, and returned to Thebes in time to save his wife and children from execution. For one brief moment, the strongest hero in Greece has everything back. Then two figures appear above his house. Iris, messenger of Hera, and Lyssa, madness herself. Heracles does not lose a battle. He loses his mind. When he wakes, the family he crossed the world to protect is gone, and his own hands are responsible. The family waiting for a dead hero. Euripides begins his Heracles not with a monster, a battlefield, or one of the famous labors, but with a family waiting to die. Heracles is absent from Thebes. Theseus has sent him on what should be his final impossible task: descend into the underworld and bring Cerberus, the hound of Hades, up into the world of the living. While the hero is gone, Thebes has fallen into political violence. A ruler named Lycus has seized power after killing Creon, the father of Heracles' wife, Megara. Lycus knows that as long as Heracles' sons live, they may one day grow old enough to avenge their family. So he decides to remove the danger before it can grow. Megara, her children, and the elderly Amphitryon take refuge at an altar of Zeus. They have been shut out of their home. They have little food, little protection, and almost no one powerful enough to help them. The children keep asking where their father is. Whenever a gate creaks, they rush toward the sound, hoping Heracles has finally come home. That detail is devastating because the audience knows exactly what Heracles means to them. To the rest of Greece, he is the man who fought monsters. To these children, he is simply the father who is not there when death comes to the door. Lycus arrives and refuses to be moved. He intends to kill the family. Megara finally asks for one last dignity. Let her and the children enter the house, dress for death, and face what is coming without being dragged from the altar. It is at the moment when hope has nearly disappeared that the impossible happens. Heracles returns from Hades, the hero who came back from Hades. He enters Thebes expecting to see his own house, and instead finds his sons dressed for death, his wife in grief, and Amphitryon broken by helplessness. Heracles has just completed a journey no ordinary man should survive. He has gone below the earth, confronted Cerberus, and returned to sunlight. He also explains why he was delayed. In the underworld, he rescued Theseus, his friend, and helped bring him back from the dead realm as well. Now he learns that while he was performing heroic labor for Eurystheus, a tyrant has been preparing to murder the people inside his own home. The contrast is almost cruel. Greece celebrates Heracles for defeating distant monsters, but the danger that matters most is waiting in his courtyard. Heracles immediately chooses his family. He does not announce himself to the city. Amphitryon urges him to stay hidden until Lycus comes close enough that the rescue cannot fail. Heracles goes inside with Megara and the boys. He tells the children to take courage. They cling to his clothing so tightly that he jokes he has no wings and will not fly away from them. Then he says something strikingly ordinary for a hero surrounded by legends. Rich men and poor men may possess different amounts of property, but they love their children the same. For a moment, Euripides lets Heracles become smaller than the myth and more human than the statue. He is home. His children are holding him. And this time, he will not arrive too late. The rescue that should have ended the story. Lycus returns believing Heracles is still trapped below the earth. He walks into the house expecting to command an execution. Instead, he has entered a house where Heracles is waiting. The confrontation happens away from the audience's eyes, as Greek tragedy often keeps killing off stage. The result is clear. Lycus is defeated, and the family is safe. If this were another kind of heroic tale, the story could end here. The usurper is dead. The father has returned. The children have been rescued. The house has survived. The chorus begins to celebrate Heracles. They remember his victories and praise the strength that carried him through the labors and even out of Hades. But the audience is standing at the top of a cliff without knowing it. Because Heracles has completed the labors, the protection that held Hera back is over. Above the house appear Iris, messenger of the gods, and Lyssa, the personification of madness. Iris announces that Hera has waited for this moment. While Heracles was still completing the commands of Eurystheus, the hero had been protected. Now Hera intends to strike him where victory cannot protect him. Her target is not his body. It is his mind. If you enjoy Greek mythology told as a living story rather than a list of famous deeds, please like, share, and leave a comment. Your support helps gods and heroes unveiled keep returning to the ancient world and telling these myths with the scale, tragedy, and humanity they deserve. Hera sends madness. The most disturbing figure in this scene is not Heracles. It is Lyssa. Lyssa does not rush eagerly toward the task. She tells Iris that Heracles has benefited gods and mortals, crossed lands no one else could cross, and does not deserve what Hera has ordered. Madness herself argues against making Heracles mad. Iris refuses. Hera's command stands. Lyssa obeys, but she makes the horror precise. Heracles will not understand what he is doing while the frenzy controls him. The hero who could recognize monsters in every corner of the world will look at his own home and see enemies. Inside the house, his breathing changes. His eyes change. Reality begins to break apart around him. Heracles imagines that he is no longer in Thebes, in the distorted world inside his mind. He believes he is pursuing the family of Eurystheus, the king who imposed the labors on him. The bow that once protected Greece is still in his hands. The strength that made him a hero has not disappeared. That is exactly what makes the moment so dangerous. Euripides does not turn Heracles into a weak man. He turns all of his strength in the wrong direction. The people closest to him try to reach the man they know. Megara calls to him as a wife. His children call to him as their father. Amphitryon watches the person he loves become unreachable while still standing only a few steps away. The tragedy is not that Heracles chooses cruelty. It is that choice itself has been taken from him. The house Heracles could not save. What happens next is the darkest part of the play, and it does not need graphic detail to be unbearable. Heracles, seeing enemies where his family stands, kills Megara and his children during the divinely imposed frenzy. The same house he returned to save becomes the place he destroys. The same children who had clung to his clothing because they feared he might leave are now trapped with a father who cannot recognize them. And Euripides pushes the disaster almost one step further. Heracles turns toward Amphitryon as well. At that moment, Athena intervenes. A violent divine blow stops Heracles and knocks him into unconsciousness before he can kill his father too. The house becomes still. When the palace is revealed again, the frenzy is over. Heracles is bound to a shattered column so that he cannot do more harm if he wakes confused. Around him is the evidence of a catastrophe he cannot yet remember. This is the reversal at the heart of Euripides' version of the myth. In other ancient traditions, the madness can be placed before the labors, helping explain why Heracles must undertake them. Euripides puts the madness after the labors. That change matters. Heracles cannot escape this disaster by going out and becoming a hero. He has already become the greatest hero Greece knows. He has already killed the lion, faced the Hydra, crossed the world, descended into Hades, and returned. None of those achievements can undo what waits for him when he opens his eyes. The hero who woke to ruin. Heracles wakes slowly and does not understand why he is bound. He looks at the ruined house, at Amphitryon, and at the dead he does not remember killing. He asks what happened. Amphitryon tells him, "There is no monster left to fight, no tyrant to punish, and no distant task that can turn the answer into action. Heracles learns that the hands famous for saving other people have destroyed his own family. His first response is not self-forgiveness. It is shame so complete that he wants to disappear from the world. He covers his head because he cannot bear to be seen. He fears that his presence, stained by what happened, will contaminate the people who come near him. Then he decides that death is the only answer. He considers throwing himself from a height, using a sword against himself, or giving his body to fire. This is the moment when the title of strongest man in Greece becomes almost meaningless. Physical strength has no answer for memory. A club cannot strike the past. A bow cannot force the dead to return. Another labor cannot make the house what it was that morning. Heracles has spent his life solving impossible problems through action. Now he faces something action cannot reverse. And then a friend walks into the ruins. Theseus refuses to leave him. Theseus comes to Thebes with armed Athenians because he has heard that Lycus is threatening Heracles' family. He arrives too late for that danger, but not too late for Heracles. At first, Heracles hides his face. He is ashamed for Theseus to see him and afraid that the pollution of the killings will spread to his friend. Theseus refuses that distance. He reminds Heracles that friendship cannot exist only when a man is victorious. Heracles once rescued Theseus from the Underworld. Now Theseus will not abandon Heracles in his own darkness. When Heracles says he intends to die, Theseus argues with him. He does not pretend the dead can be restored. He does not tell Heracles that the disaster is small, or that he should simply stop feeling guilty. Instead, he gives him somewhere to go. Athens will receive him. Theseus will share what he has. Heracles does not have to remain alone inside the house where everything ended. That offer changes the final movement of the tragedy. Heracles still grieves. He still sees himself as ruined. He still knows there is no clean path back to the life he had. But he begins to accept that death is not the only direction left. He asks Amphitryon to bury the children. Then he prepares to leave Thebes with Theseus. The man who once dragged Cerberus out of Hades now needs another person to lead him away from the place where he wants to die. Euripides does not make that dependence humiliating. He makes it human. The strongest thing Heracles ever did. The ending of Heracles is not a story of easy forgiveness. Heracles does not announce that he is innocent and walk away untouched. The audience has seen too much for that kind of ending. Nor does Euripides ask us to treat divinely imposed madness as a modern diagnosis. Inside the play, Hera sends the catastrophe through Iris and Lyssa. The mechanism is mythic, not clinical. But the question left behind is recognizably human. What can a person do when life continues after something they believe has made them unworthy of continuing with it? Most of us will never face anything resembling Heracles' crime. The point of the myth is not to flatten every regret into his tragedy. Outside myth, the scale is different. A person can spend years unable to look directly at a mistake, a betrayal, a failure, or a period of life they cannot change. Sometimes the hardest step is not declaring the past forgiven. It is allowing someone trustworthy to stay near, while shame says isolation would be easier. That is where Heracles and Theseus still feel recognizable. For most of the play, strength means defeating something outside yourself. At the end, strength means allowing another person to stand beside you when you want to vanish. It means accepting that a future can exist without pretending the past has disappeared. It means walking when there is no victory waiting at the end of the road. For Heracles, that road leads away from Thebes beside Theseus. He cannot save Megara. He cannot save his children. He cannot return to the morning when they ran toward him and held his clothes because their father had finally come home. What he can do is refuse to add one more death to the house. That may be the least spectacular act of his entire legend. And in Euripides' tragedy, it may be the strongest. If this journey through Heracles changed the way you see Greece's greatest hero, please like, share, and leave a comment. And tell us which god, hero, monster, tragedy, war, curse, or forgotten myth you want gods and heroes unveiled to enter next. Do you believe a person can become more than the worst thing that ever happened through them?